This is Brittanie Rockhill of Douglas Elliman in Aspen, Colorado, and you are listening to the Real Talk Podcast.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk. Thank you always for joining. Today I have my good friend Brittanie Rockhill from Aspen on my podcast. To be exact, episode number 44. Really happy with all these listeners, my friends, my clients, colleagues, just chiming in and sending me feedback about the channel that I started just a little over a year ago. So if you haven't checked out some of my previous episodes, I just had my Chief Sales and Strategy Officer at Compass, Mike Cassetta. The guy is super interesting. He paid his way through Harvard by selling Cutco knives as a high school kid. I mean, just really phenomenal stuff. Also, some of my classic previous episodes are Levi Meyer from Miami. He actually is one of the founding brokers of the Miami office of Compass. He just came on and talked about some expensive rentals that he's done, the insane housing market that the coronavirus has caused to actually blow up some of the single family home market in the Coral Gables area in Miami. Really interesting stuff there. The first corporate accountant of Compass, Will Giesland, my friend, he talks about how the Trump tax system works, why Amazon doesn't pay any federal income tax, stuff like that. Very interesting stuff. And one of my all-time favorite, it's still very relevant today, Gabe Stolman, my friend, my client. He used to own nine real top New York City restaurants, and the implications of COVID and how dealing with the government and dealing with shutting down some of his restaurants and how he's coming up with plans to not completely close, but to survive this coronavirus era of 2020. That's episode number 33, so please check that out. But that said, Brittanie is a great friend of mine. She is a native Colorado individual. I guess we call her a true Coloradoan. She was born in Colorado Springs. She's the youngest of 5 siblings. She paid her way through college. Just had to find her way somehow. Just lots of trials and tribulations of her life that she had to overcome to become one of the top agent with Douglas Elliman. So great stories that she stuck out. We talk about Aspen. We talk about the market. We talk about the hidden parts of Aspen. It's a really interesting conversation there. Brittanie and I met 5 years ago when Compass acquired a office here. She was a Compass agent, and we quickly became great friends. We've traveled together. She's shown me around Aspen a lot, more than anything else. I think she's done more for me than I've done for her. But a real hardworking, seasoned professional, and someone to really look up to, especially if you're trying to expand your knowledge on operating your real estate business. So give this a listen, and as always, thank you for being a loyal listener and a follower, and we are going to go jump into Brittanie right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk Podcast. Thanks for joining as always. Appreciate the many loyal listeners that I've gained across the country now. We're at episode 43, and I am here today, New Year's Eve, in what is known as the beautiful city of Aspen, where the beer flows like wine and the women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I am pleased to have none other than one of my best friends, Brittanie Rockhill. She is known as the Queen of Aspen, the number one producing GCI agent in Douglas Elliman, Colorado. We are all friends here. She's not Compass, but we're all we're all industry colleagues. So I'm really happy to have her. We're going to talk all about her life, her upbringing, the trials that she has been put through to gain the success that she's been on of who she is today. So really happy to have you on. Brittanie, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. The time spent on an important day for you like this, New Year's Eve, when your clients are in town, they're flying in private jets, they're renting $60,000 a month homes. Aspen didn't have, for some reason, gas for 48 hours. I mean, what a circus it's been. But thanks for spending time to come on the show.
Yeah, we're happy to have persevered through that, and we're on the other side now.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. What I want to do is a section called softball questions. So we're going to ask a bunch of questions about you, about Aspen, very easy, so that the listeners can kind of get to know you a little bit more, perhaps on a personal level. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. All right. Question number 1. Your go-to dinner in Aspen.
I would have to say Casa Tua upstairs.
It's a difference between upstairs and downstairs? I've dined upstairs before, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, upstairs is the club level. I just say that the ambiance in the entire restaurant is really beautiful. In the summer, the patio is amazing. The staff is like world class, and the owners are good friends of mine.
And what kind of food is it?
It's Italian.
Italian, okay, good, cool. All right, question number 2. Favorite mount to ski and why? For listeners, Aspen owns 4 mountains, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we like to call ourselves the Power of 4. So we have Aspen Mountain, Tyhack Buttermilk, Aspen Highlands, and Snowmass. Snowmass actually is larger than the other 3 mountains combined, and is known to be kind of the more family-friendly mountain. Aspen Mountain, I would say, is my favorite because it's in front of my office. I can walk there.
It's in front of your condo.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's a good setup.
Okay, great. It's also the steepest, or is it good for beginners, or is it more kind of for the seasoned skier?
I'd say you want to be a more seasoned skier to take on Aspen Mountain. It's just steeper pitches, more narrow runs. Lots of ski racers love Aspen Mountain.
Right, terrorizing little kids that zoom down the hill past you. Yeah. I get it. Question 3. One secret or tip that locals don't always give to visitors.
Ooh. I mean, I think I'd have to tell you once you buy a house, I can give you that tip.
Okay, you played hard to get.
Yeah.
Well, tell me something that's, easy.
Well, we were talking the other day about the cameras. So
Yes.
if you're looking to get in line and you want to see what the gondola lift line looks like, the Aspen Daily News actually just started with a camera showing the gondola line for Aspen Mountain.
Right.
So that's kind of unique information. Aspen Snowmass does a great job updating the snowfall, so you can check, who has the best snow for the day.
Okay.
So I'd say those are good tips.
Cool. Yeah, you're right. Especially during COVID, you don't want to run up to a gondola where there's 100 people waiting in line. You don't want to be in that cluster, so that makes sense. Favorite bar in Aspen?
Ooh. See, I'm more of an eater than a drinker, or an eater and drinker.
At least you are now.
So.
I'm just kidding. For the listeners, we are only drinking hypothetical whiskey, aka water.
I would say the Matsuhisa bar is probably my favorite setup.
Beautiful down there.
Yeah, beautiful. Again, great staff, amazing food. They can answer any question you have about wine, sake.
Good selection of sake.
Yeah.
And for listeners, you may have noticed Brittanie has been to Japan before, and she knows how to pronounce sake. Not sake, but sake. So good job on your Japanese pronunciation. Last question. Favorite event in Aspen? Aspen, as some of you may know, has some of the nicest events nationally, from spring, summertime, and the wintertime. So go ahead and why don't you list a couple for the listeners, the big ones, and then tell me your favorite.
Yeah, I would say, our winter events, we actually, our peak weeks are New Year's week and 4th of July week. So events kind of based around that. The Chamber of Commerce does a really nice 12 days of Aspen to get people excited and involved in the town, looking for Santa Claus. There's reindeer. There's different things that are really cute for kids and stuff like that. In the summer, we have Food and Wine, the Food and Wine Classic. So that brings in a lot of world-class chefs, a lot of different wines, spirit companies. So that's super fun. And the Aspen Ideas Festival, I would say, is my favorite. The Ideas Festival takes place at the Aspen Institute in non-COVID times. We're doing a lot virtually right now, but it's a great atmosphere. You get to kind of step out of your day-to-day and go listen to some fantastic speakers and people that are titans of industry and sports and psychology. It's really world-class.
Good. Yeah, I think one of the most magical things about Aspen is not the Dumb and Dumber quote where the beer flows like wine and the women flock like the salmon of Capistrano, but it is actually the culture and the leaders across all businesses and artists across all art platforms come together for either an event or for their friends or for family, for entertainment, for pleasure. And being in such a small, remote American town, it's hard to fathom that so much people, so many types of people flow through the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of my attractions to it as well. It's kind of like being in Manhattan. It's like Fifth Avenue meets the mountains, the Rockies.
Yeah, and Aspen has really staked out the history that was the mind, body, spirit idea. In 1949, the first kind of conference and meeting of the minds happened officially and kind of was the root of the Aspen Institute. So the Pepke family was a big founding part of Aspen. We have, an Aspen Historical Society, which I'm on the board of. We have historic preservation, which is a big deal for real estate and keeping our mining cabins and properties that were built in the 1800s, looking in their original form from the outside. So there's a lot of history in Aspen, which kind of separates us out from other ski towns where we have that depth.
Right, a lot of history, and you're right. It's just like New York City. You guys have kind of a landmarks commission committee that protects, I believe, the air rights of buildings, the height that you can build out to, the facade of certain projects or buildings, right, that you can't really destroy or modify. Even real estate signs, right? There's rules on how you can post real estate signs outside your home.
Yeah, we're very organized on how we want the town to look, and it's kept some continuity kind of going, and the Aspen that generation after generation that people want to come back to, within reason, is evolving on this balance, but trying to keep, afoot with history.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and that's one thing that really attracts me. Now, for some of the listeners that may know, I'm a hardcore Vail guy. I have a lot of friends out there, childhood friends, but if I had to pick, and despite my love for Vail, and despite me being an Epic Pass holder, which is owned by the company Vail, I will always forever have love for Aspen. And if I had to choose between owning a home between the two towns, I don't know, it's really hard, but Aspen probably takes the cake here. So this is a little shift. We want to do a little pivot in our show, and we want to go into some questions about you, but before that, let's let the listeners warm up with who you really are as a person. Let's just say, not the most traditional upbringing. You were born in Colorado Springs. You had paid your way essentially through college by having two jobs. You wanted to go to the University of Miami to be a Cane, and obviously from a financial standpoint of your family, maybe things weren't as well as some of the other kids in the United States have, where you couldn't go to the school you wanted, so you had to apply for scholarships. Talk a little bit about your younger life, the younger Brittanie Rockhill.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, so I'll try and make it succinct. I'm the youngest of 5 children. My father started a business when I was about 5 years old, which instilled a really strong work ethic in me. It didn't matter if it was his birthday party and we had a house full of people. Like, if work called and he had to go to work, he went to work. And my family has always been really supportive and almost like lenient with me. We were talking the other day, like, I haven't been home for the holidays since I moved to Aspen 13 years ago because it's my peak season. And, no one's mad at me. Like, everyone understands, work takes precedent. And so that's kind of the way that I was raised. When it came time for me to go to college, I had been accepted to the University of Miami, and I wanted to study real estate and international business. And that didn't work out. I needed to stay closer to home just for some family stuff that was going on. And so I wrote the University of Denver. They were great and matched the scholarship I had for Miami so that I got to go to the University of Denver.
So at 16 years old, you knew that by writing a letter, you could get a scholarship to a local school.
Yeah, well, and I have to, huge props to the University of Denver. there were several trials and tribulations while I was there, and I was in the work-study program. As we were talking the other day, I taught GED classes in Spanish to adults, which was super fun, and then I worked in restaurants, in between things. So plenty of work happening while I was doing my double major, double minor at the University of Denver. I did have the opportunity to study abroad, and I chose to go to Mexico, which I'm super thankful for. I have really, really great friends and clients in Mexico at this point in my life, and I think having that experience really helped bridge those relationships, and it's great to be able to speak Spanish fluently, with our neighbor. So
even with your clients right now.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your last year of college. What happened there? You were financially not in a position potentially to graduate, right?
Yeah, I actually went into the financial aid office with my transcripts and said, I'm this much money short, and this is where I am. I'm going to have to drop out of school, and they gave me another scholarship.
Let's take us to the part where after college you decided to move to Aspen. Why Aspen?
Yeah, that is a funny question. So I had studied real estate and international business. I actually had my heart set on going south of the border again. At that point in time, the Riviera Maya was really ripe for development. A lot of things were happening. I had this idea in my head that I could go work in development and also have some sort of service component, like building some amazing beachfront property while also creating like clean water for the local villages. Was kind of like my perfect world, which came out of me considering joining the Peace Corps in my senior year of college, deciding that probably wasn't for me after visiting Nicaragua. Fast forward, I'm graduating from college. It's time to make a decision, and someone said, real estate, international business, you should really check out Aspen. So I came, and 13 years later, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So many of you, I did say this in the beginning, but Brittanie for 2 years in a row was ranked the highest grossing agent. And for those that may not know what that means, it means grossing in terms of sales and earning and take-home income, or commissions we call it. She was the highest for 2 years in a row at Douglas Elliman. Talking about the Cheddar Bisque, you are an inspiration to women in business. I would say especially probably the younger ones that are aspiring to be whether a business owner themselves or maybe even a real estate broker, future real estate broker, who knows. But what two pieces of advice maybe you can give from your life's learnings in personal and business to that younger generation of girls that are coming up?
Yeah, I would say, there are no shortcuts. The sooner you get to work, the more successful that you'll be.
Anything specific that you can draw from your life?
I put in a lot of late nights, and I still do a lot of long hours, and doing that extra, the email that I really needed to send out may not get sent out until 12:30 at night, because all day I was just treading water and going through the showings and getting everything lined up that I needed to get lined up. And then that extra reach to get in touch with that client that I've been meaning to get in touch with, or that extra step sometimes doesn't come until you've already been working for 14 hours. So there's no way to get around that. It takes dedication.
Right, sure. As far as maybe one piece of advice that you could give your 21-year-old self, what would it be?
There are no guarantees. So every day you get up, you put your best foot forward, you give it your all, and at the end of the day, know that you did what was right and that you put everything out there that you had to put out there.
That's great. Switch gears. When it comes to your career so far, what are you most proud of?
I would say I'm most honored. I don't know if proud is the right word, but by the clients that I get to work with.
Give me an example.
just counted it recently, and I've worked with clients from over 13 countries, which is, for a small mountain town. And, I love working, obviously, with domestic clients also. Nothing against domestic clients, but that was kind of my goal, and my reach was to be in a small town and manage to create an international real estate atmosphere for myself. So I think that that's something that I look back on.
Any countries that may surprise listeners that maybe know of Aspen? I mean, such a small little town,
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fans that live in Australia.
Oh yeah, it's so far away too.
Yeah, like Australia, Singapore, Italy, Brazil. Where the spread is pretty
Japan.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, think about that, right?
Yeah.
Japan, right? 20 hours away
Yeah.
on a flight. So yeah, it's definitely it's a big world, but a really small city that encompasses the reach of people globally. So that's really something that is inspirational for people that live here, and also for your work. Tell me, what's your average day like in Aspen before COVID?
Yeah, I know, right? That's one of the cool things about living here is there aren't a lot of average days, and something I love about what I do, different people are in town, different things are happening, which, shifts energy and interests in different directions. But I would say, the components of my day are definitely, client interaction, depending on the season. That may be in person, that may be on the phone, that may be via text, email.
Well, I mean, what time do you get up in the morning? Let's start from there.
Yeah, right. Well, it depends on what's happening in the season.
Okay.
Because if I'm having late dinners with clients and...
So let's just say, non-COVID times, before Corona, BC, 2020 BC.
Yeah.
Let's just say, ski season. Around Christmas, New Year's, after New Year's, what's it like?
Yeah, I mean, a workout first thing in the morning, so that may be 7 in the morning.
Okay.
To get, my mind working and have a little challenge right out of the gate.
What do you do? Do you go to Cycle Bar Aspen?
I used to pre-COVID. Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Cycle Bar and Pure Bar.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. I actually have become addicted to the mirror that I now have in my house.
Right.
Which is like a really efficient, really strong, workout platform.
It's like the other Peloton now. It's not a bike, but it's a mirror. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's neat. So I'm into that. I threw a treadmill under my desk during COVID, so I have that going to get my steps in. But yeah, basically I would say, work as a whole could vary from day to day and season to season. Obviously, it has to do with me communicating with clients.
So a client may want to go skiing with you in the afternoon, so you might hike the Highland Bowl with that client, assuming they're a strong skier or snowboarder?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
then at night, what would you do? Do you usually have dinners?
Yeah.
They're vacationing, and they're vacationing with you.
Yeah, it's...
You were essentially an extension of their vacation.
It's been the greatest blessing to be able to be here and see people, and oftentimes being their best selves, because stress is a little bit less. They're here, they're enjoying the outdoors, they have those endorphins flowing, they're with their family, like they're, living their best life. And then you, by extension, kind of get to enjoy that and vibe off of that energy and help them, make their real estate dreams come true.
Sure.
So it's pretty sweet.
What's that cool club that you take? It's like that private club downstairs in the basement that you take your clients to.
So the Caribou Club.
Caribou Club. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
I've been with you.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what that's about. It's like almost like a secret society.
Yeah, it's been a staple in Aspen. It definitely is infamous.
We got to give them a shout out too. Caribou Club.
What's up, Philly, Brenda? Yeah, it's they have phenomenal food, and actually they have a great catering business as well. Okay. So they do a great job with that. They're limited right now. They can have about 50 people in for dinner with the COVID stuff.
Okay, so they're still doing dinner downstairs.
They are, and actually for New Year's, this will be too late to give them a plug, but they did send out a very imaginative email talking about a time capsule, because we have the curfew, that you could get in and have your full New Year's celebration well before the curfew. So just doing it on the East Coast.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so it's a really interesting club to be part of, and a nice place to take clients out to.
Yeah, Aspen is such a big city, small town. So yeah, there are a few private clubs around, and what I enjoy about that place is it's more about like the sitting and talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, like we also have nightclubs and there's a time and a place for that. Love you guys, Bootsy Bellows.
Yeah,
but
Bootsy Bellows.
That's, it's really hard to have a conversation in there. So
Not really. It's not really a conversational type atmosphere. Yes.
Yeah, I have more.
It's a typical meatpacking club in New York City.
Good New York reference.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. So, as far as your lifestyle is concerned, it is engulfed with work, and I've seen that firsthand. And brokers across the nation that are at the top of their game basically have the same lifestyle. I mean, we're grinding. My game is not as big as your game, but we're grinding constantly, 7 days a week. Now, what do you do when you're not at work?
One day maybe I'll find out. No, I enjoy skiing. I love hiking. I mean, I have a great puppy who I try and get out with. I love to travel. Aspen does have shoulder seasons. So when I'm, in a season where clients aren't here and I don't have any reason to have boots on the ground, I've had opportunities. I was in Dubai last year with my international partner, Knight Frank. They had me to England the year before that. We were supposed to go to Italy this year, which obviously didn't happen. But that's been, really fun and a great opportunity. They invite, the top brokers from the U.S. There's about 30 of us that they take overseas, and we get to know those markets. And
what I want to know more is, while you're in Aspen, what do you do during your free time? I mean, have you biked up Independence Pass? Is that a cycling? Is that like a cycle? I mean, I'm into cycling now. As some of you may know, I started the Man Bro Bike Club, the Manhattan Brooklyn Bike Club, and we're a bunch of amateur athletes just bicycling around New York City during COVID. But anyways, tell me about maybe the cycling scene in Aspen.
Yeah, I mean, we have a really strong summer cycling scene, which is something I think people don't necessarily understand, is like the summer in Aspen is so busy and it's amazing.
It's almost better than the winter.
I mean, that's why I moved here, is for the summer. It's not for
People
the winter.
think it's just for skiing, but it is definitely not.
Yeah, and like Lance Armstrong is here. You see him riding all the time.
Does he own a house here?
He does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we actually had an opportunity to do a race together. It was George Hincapie's race, who also comes out here quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a client of mine who prompted me to get a bike and get into cycling this summer. So we have been getting after that, and I'm really excited for next summer to up my game, and we'll go up Independence Pass.
Independence Pass or Maroon Bells. I don't know. Don't kill me yet. But I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. But for the people that live in Aspen, now let me touch on that. So Lance Armstrong lives here. Who else owns here? Any notable people, celebrities that you could rattle off that you didn't sign potentially in an NDA with?
In a non-NDA way, I could tell you that the majority of the Forbes list have houses here.
For example? Trump?
No, he does not
Okay.
have one, actually. I don't want to get in trouble dropping any names, but
Okay. Well, why don't we, instead of the Forbes, why don't we touch on like some entertainments or sports athletes? Or I know my friend represented Mark Brunell, who was the former a Pro Bowl quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it also later became a quarterback for the Washington, then known as the Redskins, now the Washington football team.
Yes.
But I believe John Elway, the legendary quarterback for the Denver Broncos, was also, I believe he's a homeowner here. Was John Denver at one point a homeowner here too?
Yeah.
Historically speaking.
Yes.
He did sing about West Virginia, but he should have maybe switched those lyrics to Aspen, Colorado.
Oh no, he has Rocky Mountain High.
He has the Rocky Mountain Highs,
I mean,
right. But he is known for Country Roads.
Yeah.
That's one of his favorite songs. But yes, he does have Rocky Mountain High. But
There's-
anybody else that you can rattle off?
Gosh.
So many.
I know. I'm like, can't really say. I would say more of the owners of the teams have homes here.
Oh.
Bob-
Of a specific professional perhaps baseball team or a football team?
Yes, those kinds of teams. Yep.
Okay. All right. Good. So clearly, if you're a high profile guy, you hire Brittanie because I guess she won't crack. Her lips are sealed. So just the success that you've had so far. Did you have any role models growing up? Somebody you looked up to? You just where did all this hard work come from? Like that, who instilled all this grit and hard work and discipline in you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my father was really, really a go-getter, and to this day still is a huge go-getter.
He's not ready to retire.
Yeah.
Though he must.
I know. Thank God he's okay after having COVID. But
Yeah,
he's slowing down a little bit. So, and I mean, my mom is one of my heroes. I think from a business perspective, like my sister and I were the first ones to go to college. So it wasn't an environment where we grew up, looking up to business idols or even really being aware of that. So this has been a really interesting transition in my life to go through, like growing up, right? Like you're coming out of college, you're creating a career, now you're a professional, and like things are really shifting and changing, and you're joining, different tiers, which has been such a blessing.
It's a great ride.
Yeah.
It's certainly a great ride. So I guess this is a impact question that I want to ask you that basically leads up from this question is your relationship with money. How has it changed since you were 21 years old to now being a young 22-year-old? I'm just kidding, but a young professional. Or has it changed? What is money to you as a tool? Is it a tool? I mean, what is it to you? What is your relationship with money like now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Aspen's a really expensive place to live, obviously.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. And, money equals kind of stress relief. So being able to help whoever it is that may need some help, like being able to provide employment, being able to work with subcontractors, being able to build a business and create something that didn't exist before I got in it. Is one of the really rewarding things about being a business owner.
Speaking of providing, opportunities, shout out Dr. Adam Funk from the great state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. The Philly grower.
The Philly grower, right? That's right.
3 years. He's been working with me, and I'm grateful to have him. And I mean, I would say
money is a tool that gives you opportunity to give other people opportunities, or for you to give what else? Yeah,
I mean, to give opportunity, education, scholarship, employment,
right.
The gift of being able to be housed in Aspen is pretty huge.
That's a big deal. You're right.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would say, we had talked about motivation and kind of my view is never like money doesn't motivate me. Like freedom, opportunity, innovation, those are motivating factors.
Right. So so you actually answered my next question was what motivates you more, power or money? And your answer is neither.
Yeah, I think I would be in a different field if that was my main motivation.
If money was our motivation, we would not be real estate brokers.
Right?
That's right.
But, there's a hand for every glove, or however that saying goes. I would say, I like innovation and being able to create something where there was nothing before, and being able to take a different lens and put my view and my advice and my knowledge to work for someone else is really rewarding to bring them to a place that is as spectacular as Aspen is.
Right. No, that's definitely true. To wrap up, I know you don't have a lot of time here. You're about to go through a walkthrough, but we want to talk about the market. Before we talk about the market in, the spectacular year that you had in 2020, can you give me, one loss that you've endured in 2020 and one win that you've endured in 2020? And it could be personal or business. It could be anything.
Okay, well, I know that you really like to dig into the personal ones.
I
Try
do.
to make everyone cry on your podcast.
I like to go in deep.
Let's see. Yeah.
Or it could be a business or personal one. It's up to you.
Being my best friend, I think you know. Okay, I would say as a loss, I would count not being able to travel in 2020.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, you're in such a nice town, but it's also a small town, and being stuck in a small town for 365 days, it can probably take a little bit of a toll, no matter who you are, no matter how much you love the mountains.
Yeah, I think it's healthy to get out of the bubble.
It does.
You know,
You can always go to Denver, but it's different than going to New York City or Italy or Mexico.
Exactly.
Right.
I really miss. I usually get out of the country a few times a year, and I've been here. So Aspen problems, but nonetheless, I'm still counting it as a loss.
Blessed, first world problem. Blessed, but yes, it is a problem.
Exactly.
And what about a win?
I would say 2020 for a business year has been an incredible win. I mean, it's been a very popular year for the Aspen real estate market, and for me personally, I had a lot of clients, that were ready to make moves to get here, and it's been a really good year.
So that leads into the market talk. For listeners, broad overview of Aspen. What's the average price of a home in Aspen? And let's talk like single family homes, like the ones that you see in the suburbs. I know these homes here are a little bit bigger, but what's the average sales price of these things?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's ironic because the average moved from 4 million and change to 7 million and change in the last year.
Okay.
But good luck finding a house for 7 million because
nothing is on the market for 7 million.
Yeah, so that was the price point between 7 to 9 exploded this last year.
Okay.
So that was up over 700%.
Is that before COVID started or after quarantine and people came out of quarantine?
Yeah, it skyrocketed over the summer. I
Summer.
think, yeah, when people were pent up and tired of being, in their apartments and were ready to be able to walk out their door and go up a mountain and, be outside.
Sure.
That really drove a lot of people here.
Who are these buyers?
Aspen has feeder markets. Basically, Texas is a huge, almost sister state, if you like, to Colorado. And then we have people, coming from LA, from Miami, from New York, Chicago, domestic markets, which is the majority of the people transacting in Aspen. People fleeing the heat a lot of times in the summer. So, yeah.
What kind of jobs or industries are they in?
I would say, mostly finance. Finance, some attorneys, some doctors.
And like you said earlier, the people that own the sports teams.
Yeah, and entrepreneurs,
Right.
People that have multiple businesses or, have done well in one arena and are now dabbling in another.
Did the buyer group shift or change since COVID happened?
It's interesting you asked that. So we've seen more ultra luxury sales. So if you're looking at sales,
What does that mean? What's that price point there?
So it used to be, depending on who you're talking to, but we're going to focus right now on over 25 million.
Mm-hmm. And that's anything above 25 million is ultra luxury. So if you're buying at 24.5 or 24.95, you are not in the ultra luxury market.
Well, no, I mean it's a new step.
It's subjective over objective.
Exactly, and it's a new place that we have found ourselves this year, where there had been maybe 3 sales or 1 sale for the past couple of years, no sales over 25 million. So this year there were 9 sales over 30 million.
9 sales over 30 million, and from June or before quarantine or
the majority closing after the summer.
Is it schooling, do you think, that's affected? Maybe these people just want more space for kids in school. Is it the fact that everybody's work from home, so now instead of the traditional peer-to-peer, it's their primary residence? I mean, these people that are buying these homes, what's the actual objective?
So everyone has realized, when the kids don't have to be in school and they're doing distance learning, and now there's no reason to be at the office because you're not allowed to go to your meetings anyway, you're doing everything on Zoom, people's worlds just opened up and they're like, hey, we like to vacation in Aspen, can you imagine actually being there? Like, let's go, let's do it. And we have great schools here also.
Public or private?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. We have Aspen Country Day is the very popular private school here that has a wait list, and their attendance has exploded. And then our public school is great.
Right.
The matriculation onto
There's a school near the airport with a lift.
that's Aspen High School.
That's Aspen High School.
Yeah.
That's a public high school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. I mean, I wish I grew up in Aspen. My goodness.
I know.
I would love to have a lift for PE.
Yeah.
To go skiing or snowboarding.
Yeah.
Yes, something really just bizarre in my head that just triggers that part of my brain that tells me, Todd, you should have grown up here.
You were built for this.
I was built for this. Oh my gosh. So, tell me anything else. Any other stats you want to tell me about the market? What about explain to the listeners? Aspen also has various markets. There's the core Aspen core, and then you have areas like Snowmass, Red Mountain. And you have they call it Upper Roaring Fork Valley, and you have the Down Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me, please.
Yeah. So in my stats are more specific to Aspen. I work in the valley as well because my clients range from locals.
And
to
the valley is what? Basalt?
So
Carbondale?
Yeah,
Tell me.
the valley would extend down to I-70. So basically I-70 up through Aspen, and then we have Independence Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So the Roaring Fork Valley is kind of this entire range. And there's a lot of great communities happening. Carbondale is really up and coming. Basalt has a lot going on there. Old Snowmass, I've sold a lot of property in Old Snowmass recently, which has been really fun. And that's more of like a ranch layout, a little bit more remote. Aspen, is all about views, walking distance, proximity, being 10 minutes from the airport, 5 minutes from the gondola. Like, you can live so much life in one day because you spend no time commuting, which is really a gift.
Mm-hmm. What's the dimensions? I remember you talked about Aspen as a dimension, like a block dimension. What is that again? It was like 5 by 7, or there's like basically the core, right? Is really a kind of a really small niche area.
Yeah. So depending, we have the downtown core, we have the more historic like West End, we have Red Mountain, East Aspen, West Aspen. I would say the pricing for the downtown core has seen incredible heights. Selling things over 5,000 a square foot. Things that are coming on the market right now are, well over 2,500 a square foot. If it's new construction downtown. So
let's break it down for the listeners. If I had a budget of, let's just say, let's start low, $500,000, where would you recommend I buy?
Glenwood.
Or listener? Glenwood? Well, you can buy some small things around here too, right?
Not right now. So
Oh, yeah.
there's not. There used to be studios that you could pick up in like the $500,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
Right now there's some hotel condominiums, so
Okay.
you could have like a hotel room with a kitchenette.
Like, is that a timeshare or no?
It's not. It's whole ownership, but the HOA fees are really
Very high. Okay.
So it's not ideal.
So let's move up the budget. If you're a $1 million buyer, what could you get? Where would you recommend?
You're still probably looking at a studio.
Okay.
to
What's the
be
square
in
footage of these studios?
Around 500 square
Okay.
feet. Yeah.
Okay, for $1 million, and then let's go $2 million.
Yeah. So we're still really nowhere at 2.
Well, what about areas like the condos, like the Gant, or the place that I stayed one time with James Petrie of Compass?
So hotel condos, you're looking at really high HOA fees. So you have to be comfortable
With the
shelling
overhead.
out, $40,000 a year if it's not rented, or if you end up using it a lot. Like, it's not the most ideal investment setup for people
Mhm.
a lot of the time.
Got it.
So it's tough to get a foothold
It's
in
tough.
Aspen. Yeah.
Now, can you buy anything in Snowmass for $2 million?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Snowmass, you definitely get more bang for your buck. They just redeveloped the base village. the same east-west partners that developed the Vale Village have
Okay.
now developed.
At $2 million in Snowmass, are we talking single-family homes, townhouses, condos? What are we?
No, we're talking condos.
Okay.
And you also have to watch HOA fees out there because they're not built for year-round people.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you're going to rent it, someone else is going to take care of it, and it's great, but it's not for someone who's like budget-minded. Like I would think square footage, how much time I'm going to spend there, do I want someone to be hands-on the property and back into that number? But if you're coming in with like a budget in mind, there are a lot more constraints for what you can do.
So what is the starting price for a single-family home in Aspen right now?
Like a tear down?
Yeah,
or a
well, I
house
would say
that
something
you
that needs
wanna
work,
move
sure.
into? Yeah, I mean, I would say that there are
An entry level. It doesn't have to be a mansion. Something small, maybe. If there's a townhouse or.
Yeah. We're probably looking over $7
$7 million
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's talk about, just to kind of wrap up here, one memorable sale that you had in 2020. What kind of house was it? Talk about it. You don't have to give me the exact price, but you can give me the area.
Yeah.
If you like.
Well, I could tell you 2020 has unfolded like a great present because the first few months of 2020, I thought that I may have to do something else this year. And I didn't know.
Maybe walk a dog or something.
Like what?
Walk someone's dog. You're good at walking dogs, right?
Yeah, it'd be really hard to pay to live in Aspen walking dogs, but
it was basically the beginning of 2020 was very, very slow. To the extent where you were thinking about maybe, hopefully, your paycheck would be coming soon because otherwise things might get tough.
Yeah, I mean, 2020, the first quarter of the year is generally not like a knocking it out of the park quarter just because of the way our seasons run. So when COVID hit in March and things were on lockdown, that first quarter looking a little bit light turned into potentially the entire year looking a little bit light, which was, unsettling and not exactly what I thought was going to be happening. But then really by the end of May, beginning of June, like it just did a 180 and my phone didn't stop ringing. I mean, I worked nonstop until very recently.
So let's get into the detail. Would you have one memorable transaction that comes to mind?
Gosh, I have a lot of really great clients, like really wonderful hearts and families, and they're so excited to be here and they're digging into the Aspen lifestyle, like getting out on the mountain, becoming better skiers, like this summer becoming motocross, superstars. Like
wow.
Yes, cycling.
What a cool hobby to pick up.
Yeah, like every branch that you can go out in Aspen, like these people are into it and they're here for the lifestyle, and it's really cool to see people just really digging in.
If you're an outdoorsman or outdoors lady and you haven't been to Aspen, I mean, it's one of the most liberating feelings that you can have visiting here and enjoying what the city has to offer. So if you haven't been here, get here quick. I mean, hopefully get your COVID shot first and then start traveling and get here quick. Brittanie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. In closing, I just want to say thank you again for your time. The Queen of Aspen is busy. She has clients pulling her left and right. And I really appreciate you setting time aside for us to chat on the Real Talk podcast. Shout out to your Instagram. Go ahead.
So it's Brittanie Rockhill Aspen.
But Brittanie is not spelled the traditional way.
It's true. It's BRITTANIE.Rockhill.Aspen.
And do you have a website or a Twitter handle or something else that you'd like to, or YouTube channel that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, it's all. If you just Google Brittanie Rockhill Aspen, you should find me like that.
She shows up on Google Maps as well, so kind of helps. All right, thank you, Brittanie. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.